Akinita taitika, akinita nitaitika, akinita nitaitika, nitafanya kazi ya Bwana, nitafanya fanya kazi, fanya kazi, fanya kazi ya Bwana, nitafanya kazi, fanya kazi, fanya kazi ya Bwana. When He calls me, I will answer. When He calls me, I will answer. When He calls me, I will answer. I'll be somewhere working for my Lord. I'll be somewhere working somewhere, working somewhere, working for my Lord. I'll be somewhere working somewhere, working somewhere, working for my Lord. That song, more or less, sung in the 1970s at the Redeemed Gospel Church, Mathare, summarizes the life and times of Bsp Arthur Kitonga. In 1973 December, residents of Mathare slums and the surrounding areas learned of goodies, in particular milk and loaves of bread, being given for free at PCA Isili, known as Center. They rushed there, some with jugs, others with sufurias or whatever container they could get, and they went there and they were given Christmas, a liter or so of milk and half a loaf each of bread. Now, the following year, that's 1974, the residents of Mathare, going by the past experience, were all eyes and ears for goodies. Now, goodies came, but this time not from Center, but they came from neighboring Redeemed Gospel Church, which was a fledgling that time. Redeemed Gospel Church started in a single hall, a timber hall, at the slums of Mathare. Later, it would expand when Bsp Arthur Kitonga bought an L-shaped chain of mud houses and there constructed what has come to be known as the Redeemed Gospel Church, Mathare. It was not easy, but when the residents were given the goodies, the milk and bread, they were also introduced to the church that was beginning that time, and majority of them joined the church. I remember the family of Mama Mariamu, and Mariamu had sisters. Mariamu later and one of her sisters would travel to the US with the assistance of Bsp Arthur Kitonga. There were others, remember, like Wanja, among others. So from that time, Bsp Arthur Kitonga would start evangelism in earnest. They did door-to-door evangelism. There was a visiting preacher who would come with charts of animals indicating the heart of a man who, before they were saved, they were occupied by reptiles like crocodiles, maybe snakes, turtles, and all of that. But then they would show another chart of someone who, after they are saved, those reptiles would go out, and then they were filled with the devil, with the Holy Spirit, with a clean heart. Now, this was one of the ways that Bishop Arthur Kitonga evangelized, did crusades, in addition to he himself preaching simple messages, calling harlots, Malayas, and drunkards, walevi, to come to Christ. It was the best message that the residents of Mathare at that time had heard. He was the Bouquet of the time. He was the TD Jakes of the time. They did not know any better preacher. So over time, Redeemed Gospel Church grew in leaps and bounds. And I remember from a small church where they did not have instruments up to around mid or late 70s when he introduced a keyboard. And then later, he also introduced a set of drums which was being played by a certain young man, class 6 or 7 then. I was called Michael. So that is how the Redeemed Gospel Church started. And the reason the title of Working for My Lord is appropriate for Bishop Arthur Kitonga is because this is a humble servant of God. And not only did he work, and he still is working among the slums in Mathare and other places, but this is a simple servant of God whose heart is just out there to serve the Lord. So Bishop Arthur Kitonga can appropriately be described as someone who is just working for the Lord. By the grace of God, he has not been caught up in scandals that you hear others, other ministers, other clergy get caught up in. So Bishop Arthur Kitonga, that is how the church started. Most of the people who got saved that time, young people like Apostle Gaia right there, was a young man carrying a Bible, and he obeyed the word.